My name is Will Chandler, handle Guardian Fury. I am start out this film by feeding the rabbits again. Right now, I think I'm going to name this one Spaz, as the second I take it away, he's always the hardest one to feed. The second I take it away for just a millisecond, he he just goes nuts, and he starts flipping his little paws around, and it's really cute, really cute. But wanted to speak a little bit about um, the article out of the Inquirer in Philadelphia that just came out, that's talking about the child abuse inside the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I looked at the comments on it, and of course it's probably all the trolls. Oh, sorry, bud. The trolls that the Watchtower has on staff to make negative comments to any news articles or videos. Or so the negative comments on there were actually quite amazing, especially coming from me, since I lived the abuse and the nightmare that was growing up as a Jehovah's Witness in a family where I was forced to stay with my abuser and rapist. And then it talks about the silencing, and a lot of people again making comments on there about how it was all filthy lies. And of course, you know, that's active Jehovah's Witnesses and apologists that are just believing what the Watchtower tells them and not going beyond that, not doing any research on their own to see if the allegations are true. And trying to get the camera adjusted a little bit here. Anyway, and I wanted to speak to the elders trying to cover it up and trying to silence us. Now, when I first brought it up to the elders, they did after they did end up taking my testimony and me confronting my rapist along with 3 elders. They told my mother and myself, they said that, you know, we couldn't talk about it, that it would be gossip and all these other things. And my mother just readily agreed. And of course, here I am again, 14 years old, and I start using scripture to prove to them that it's not gossip if I talk about it. It happened to me. And if I was just talking to someone about it, I was scripturally allowed to. And after I beat them back with the Bible, and then they went back to the old tactic of, well, it would bring reproach on Jehovah's name. And finally, I agreed with the under threat of punishment, I agreed to not talk about it because it would bring reproach on Jehovah's name. And even though I proved to them scripturally that there was no reason why I couldn't talk about it with anyone, I finally just went along with it. It had already been a long evening, and I gave up on the point and conceded. Now fast forward a little while, and we're back up in Maine and away from my stepfather, away from my Jehovah's Witness cult abuser, and I had heard that there were a lot of rumors going around about my mother, and because they were not happy that she had left my stepfather, because most people didn't know why, because of the not being allowed to talk about it. So the rumor mill was just in full effect, and I started hearing the rumors that were being spread about my mother. And so I finally did call up my stepfather's family, who at that point were actually living down in the same town that we had been in Texas. And I told my stepfather's aunt and uncle why we left, why my abuser had been disfellowshipped for an amazingly short amount of time. And at first, she didn't want to believe me. She said no, and I was making it up. And I said, hey, go talk to the elders and ask them if it's true or not. And if he or ask, and I also said, ask my stepfather if it's true, and if he denies it, bring him in front of the elders and ask. And of course, so that kind of gave her pause. And of course, they confronted him about it, I heard later, and he did admit to them. And so they found out the real reason. Of course, I was super nervous because at this point I was still a kid. I was 16, I think, when I called them to tell them about it. Only, again, because I was protecting my family. I was protecting my mother. Once again, here I was taking on the role of the protector, taking on the role of the parent. And so I knew that there was a possibility that I would get in trouble, even though the reason I had told someone about it was to protect my mother. And of course, the elders in the congregation we were in at the time did end up finding out about it and didn't make too much of a fuss until I told them I was leaving to live with my real father, who turns out to be an amazing person, my worldly father. And that's in a previous video where I explained all that stuff, where they tried to basically silence me again and trying to get me in line. But again, I kind of buck the system. I don't like ultimatums or being told what to do when in the wrong situation. I don't like it. I don't stand for it. So fortunately, though, for me, I made my escape and got out of there and didn't look back. I just want to add my voice on that. That yes, there is that the elders do try to silence you no matter what, and because of the cult mind control, you end up agreeing to it. Especially as a child, I was 14 when I was told to shut up about it or bring reproach in Jehovah's name, and that I would get in trouble. In trouble with God, mind you, because that's who they claim to be representing. It was God I'd be in trouble with. And after seeing some of the negative comments on that newspaper article, I tell you what, I'm thinking about contacting some of the newspapers in my area to see if they want to see if my story could be used in anything they might be working on, or to get a story going about Jehovah's Witnesses. Because I'm just sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of these apologists. Of course, most of them, again, are probably being paid by the Watchtower anyway. But I just wanted to say that it's true, it happens, and the elders do try to shut you up. I lived it, and that's just kind of what I wanted to add to that. There's more to it. Like I said, I'm feeding the rabbit now, all 5 of them, and I didn't really prepare for this video at all. I just got finished reading that article and watching the video on it, and I wanted to just comment on it and add my voice to the mix. So, and this is Guardian Fury, and y'all have a good one.